Beat it up.
I did that parallel to the music because one of the other things too that I glossed over was that when I first started rapping, right, and I was really getting at it, I was with the Kreators and did all that, and even after that, in my mind, if I wanted to be Rakim, I wanted to be Big Daddy Kane, I wanted to be Nas, I wanted to be Redman, right? I wanted to, and I'm like, if I can't be that dope, then what's the point? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, if I'm not that good, then why am I gonna bother? Right? Like a local rapper that gets to meet some fucking lot lizard at the club and take her home once a week. Like that's like the apex of like my life. I'm like, nah. So like that was like part of the reason why I wanted to quit and give up. But then when I came back at it, I'm like, yo, there's only one Muhammad Ali. There's only one Michael Jordan, right? But like, fuck, Scottie Pippen was pretty fucking important too. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's all right. I'm like, I had to understand what my role was, that there were certain people that are blessed beyond the normal, right? That are just exceptional. And that I need to find what I can do exceptional within that and be dope at it. Instead of being like, well, if I can't be that, there's no point. You know what I mean? It's like, my problem is I don't have a medium button. I'm either off or I'm like full blast. Like there's nothing in between. I've had to learn to curtail that a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I watched it.
You're right.
I watched the Jay-Z interview today, actually, where he was talking about. He was like, I never was the biggest selling artist. Right. You know what I mean? He was like, maybe in '98. He's like, but I think DMX outsold me then too. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It was like, he was like, I just, found just did me. Like found what was my thing.
Yep.
And I did it. Rolled my way.
It's magic. It's magic when you find that place. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now, right? Like because I send you stuff early. I want you only like 3 or 4 people I send early music to, but like this Choices joint is more in the line of the shit that I'm doing now, and their heads ain't ready. They ain't ready for that. There's when you find that sweet spot where you belong. You get filled with that light, you let that light in, and you get filled with that energy, and it's just like all kinds of shit break against you, like whackness and negativity just break against you like it ain't even there. You're just immune to that shit when you're in your car riding around like, oh my God, I'm levitating right now. I'm like, I've been waiting this long to get here. Shit, it's good.
XL.
Yo.
I've been quiet, man, because you know what I'm saying, yo.
Yeah, I'm glad you said something.
The answers that you be answering your questions, it like resonates with me a lot. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff you be saying and stuff. So I just like to hear you answer the questions and stuff. But some people say I'm from a legendary group. You know what I'm saying? Crew or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You from a legendary crew. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know how is it being in the crew? And then coming out by yourself and saying, I'm gonna do this and trying to reinvent yourself, coming from that situation and stuff like that.
Word. Well, first of all, you're fucking Starang Wonder, and that's a big deal around here. All right, that's a big deal.
All right.
It's a big deal. Like your whole crew, your whole clique, everybody, just starting from Black Moon, going to Helter Skelter, to Smith and Wesson, to OGC. I know all of it, the dialogue, the catalog, back, forward, front, and center. You guys were amazing, right? Let me just get that out the way. Just incredible. Being in the crew, so salute to all of you, for real, everybody. So being in the Kreators was excellent, right? For me, I was the youngest one in the whole crew. And I had to work twice as hard to keep pace. Being in that crew, I learned a lot of stuff because the cats I came up with, like Jay Son and Big One and my man G Squared, who gave me my start in the rap game. So shout out to G Squared. Jay Son put me to boot camp. Basically, he put me through the ring, through the grinder to be a battle MC, to really get my bars up. And so I learned a lot. And being in the group, I got to experience a lot of stuff that Juan had already experienced because he was in a group called Juice with Soul. And they had like the biggest deal out of Boston at the time. So Warren had worked with Pac and everybody and had been around. So I got like a free lesson, right? Being in the crew was great. What happened a lot though in the crew is we got really fucked up. Like we drank and did a lot of drugs, man. Like a lot, like you know, like a lot, man. Like my favorite drink was the next one, and listen, I hate cocaine. I hate it, but I love the smell of it. So like I couldn't do enough of that shit. You know what I mean? So fucked up. You know what I mean? Like I love living like that. And, but we all got worn pretty thin because you know the beginning of the movie starts out fun, but then the ending is never good. Nobody ever wants to remember the ending. So by the time we had gotten to the end of it, the group was kind of crushing on the weight of all of that, like infighting, just too much partying, and creative differences, and so going out when it was time for me to go solo, I had gotten sober, which was a big deal, right? Like I had just gotten sober and I couldn't do shit for like 2 years, right? Because I was bad shape. So I had to clean my life up. When I got back at it, I was ready to go because at that point, I started feeling a little constrained. I started feeling like the roles were kind of set and I wanted to make other music and do other shit. And at that point, I had grown so much as an artist that I had kind of outgrown that space that I was in. Right. So the first project I did was Cutthroat. It was like an EP I did with this cat, and it was really hard. Like it was like, you know, it was really like really thumping and very aggressive, and you know, lots of bar work and heavy choruses, and you know, and then I went and did some other shit. So that transition for me, the hard part about it was 4 of us in the group. So when you only got to come up with 16 bars on a song. And you got, you know, back then, you know, the albums used to be 15, 20 tracks. Yep. So, you know, you might get a solo joint in there if you write one that's really hitting or a duo, but you're always sharing the workload. Yeah. You know what I mean, it wasn't like you had to write 2 or 3 verses and a chorus. So that was probably the biggest, like, as an artist, getting used to that transition was probably the biggest to do that. And you were sober. And I was sober, which was horrifying, right? It was fucking hard. When you first get sober, you're like in a state of shock. You feel like you've been shot out of a fucking cannon into a brick wall, right? And like your life is just like a mess because you just literally have just thrown yourself in a blender with like, you know, with paint and gasoline and drugs, and you're a fucking amalgamation of like nothing. So you don't do nothing now. You don't do nothing. No, I abuse caffeine and I smoke squares. That's about it. Yeah, I abuse the shit out of caffeine. You know what I mean? And the cigarettes has got to go. I mean, I know that. I just like, that's it. Yeah, but I don't do nothing, man. No, nothing. It'll be 21 years in October that I've been sober. Congratulations for that. Hey, it's no great merit of my own. It was a group of people that really helped me and you know, I can't drink bleach, I can't drink gasoline, I can't drink alcohol. It's the same shit. So, you know, for me, that's where it's at. But yeah, that was the biggest difference, Strang, was doing that, like that technical proficiency of learning how to write good quality verses, you know, and like I probably was trying to overprove myself, so I made everything like way too busy. You know what I mean? And at that point, I was so insecure that I needed everybody to co-sign my shit and tell me that I was great. You know what I mean? So it's, that was the biggest difference.
Monsta Mondayz Podcast. Please join us every Monday from 8 to 10 p.m. West Coast time and 11 to 1 a.m. East Coast time. Every single Monday, Monsta Monday on the Dash app. Also, check out these awesome shows from the rest of our podcasting family. Funny Farm, East New York Radio, All Elements Mix Show, the Starpower Collective, La Cosa Nostra Radio, 5150 Mix Show, Block News Live, Vinyl Coffee Mix Show, and Hidden Gems. Check them all out under the Delicious Vinyl radio station.